jingle bells. It's been a long minute. All right, it is 6 o'clock. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Nathan, would you take the roll, please?
Councilmember McPherson.
Here.
Councilmember Biggs. Here. Councilmember Laraway.
Here.
Council President Bruce.
Here.
Mayor Steer.
Here. And if you'll join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First item is the consent agenda. Questions or comments or motion?
Matt? I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as published.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Nathan, would you poll the council?
Councilmember McPherson.
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs.
Yes.
Councilmember Laraway.
Yes.
Council President Bruce.
Yes.
And that motion carries. Public comment. Is there anybody who wishes to address the council? I have one person signed up, Cindy Geeson. Was there anybody else who wanted to, didn't get a chance to sign in? You can go ahead and come up, Cindy, if you would. All right, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I want to thank you for this public opportunity to comment, and I would like to mention a few things. As we went through the 2301-0A Title V 6 rewrite hearing process, a public comment was submitted on November 7th by Ben Decker. No one seemed to mention or consider Ben's suggestion, so I would like to bring it up to your attention. I felt it was an excellent idea and worthy of your consideration. In Ben's written testimony, due to the proposed mostly restored lot line code changes, Ben seemed to be objecting to the loss of our strong community agricultural land in our rural areas due to the high-density subdivisions taking over ag land and the resulting excess creation of rental properties. Due to subdivision codes, most rural landowners can't afford to create several multi-acre plots that can share wells and septics. What I concluded he was suggesting was that CUNA add a rural resident zone to our land use codes. And I'll add to that to our future land use map. Ben noted several nearby cities that have these RR zones, in addition to R2 and R6 and R5, whatever. He noted the many positive benefits that a RR zone would bring to CUNA. It would help maintain some of our rural character, would provide some hard-to-find small acreage lots for families to thrive in. RR would create a stronger community. And I'll add that those plots will create less traffic, less public utility and school needs, and will provide a better land use transition into the regions to the west of 10 Mile. I looked at the STARS Muni codes on this, and I want to read just a little bit of what it said. It said a rural residential district is needed to provide for rural single-family residential use adjacent to agricultural areas, adjacent to other rural resident-type uses, and adjacent to BLM land. Parcels are to be 2 acres at a minimum. It is the intent of this land use designation to help to preserve STAR's rural feel. And there's a little bit more, but then it said uses may include active agriculture, viticulture, equestrian, and residential needs. Uses include native open spaces, small-scale active farmlands. The rural residential land use is not an amenity-based use like no sewer, water, school, connections. And will usually be located away from goods and services. So I just recommend that you look at what STAR's done. There might be better ones, but they look like they did a good job. And I could see a great need for that here. So thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you, Cindy.
Thank you, Cindy.
And thanks, Ben, for suggesting it.
Was there anybody else who wished to address the council? Okay. That leads us to Kuna School District, May 21st levy. Kimberly Nixon. Yeah.
Well, good evening and thank you. I have some information I just want to give you, so thank you,
Okay.
Mayor Steer and Council President and council members. Kind of be using this as.
Thank you.
Feel free to draw on it. I'm a teacher, was.
Do you have crayons?
I don't have crayons. There you go. So.
And then if you have one, you can hand to the clerk over there.
I have a
just,
whole bunch.
Yeah.
How's that sound?
He wants one.
You can put them out for it. Yeah, that'd be great.
Does anybody want a copy of this?
All right, thank you.
Can I put this down here? Would that be okay? Yes. So I have room here? Thank you.
Yeah, just don't push any buttons.
I've done that a few
I'm
times.
kidding.
I just want to thank you for allowing me to represent our school board and to let you know what's going on in the levy.
Certainly.
So tonight, I just want to make sure that you understand we're going to be asking for a levy May 21st. It will be for 2 years. It's 10.6 million for those 2 years. So I also want to thank you because I think it's important we work together because we love this community. Thank you so much for allowing us to put a flyer in all of the water bills for the patrons and community members for them to read up on this. And I think that's important for them to educate themselves and to realize that this levy has specific things we're asking for. It's not just money you're giving us, it's stuff that goes for specific things. With that being said, I kind of want to give you a little bit of background, tell you what it would do to your taxes, ask if you have any questions, and then hopefully get your support in all of this. So I'll start with the background. As you know, during the pandemic, we were given Easter money. And you also know that in Idaho, growth does not pay for growth. And we cannot charge impact fees. We're growing. We use that Easter money to hire some new teachers, to get new curriculum, to work on technology, and to also do some facility maintenance that we were behind on. So we use that mainly for that. Well, that Easter money's gone away. Also during the pandemic, the state of Idaho, for those of you that don't realize, we get paid per pupil. There's a funding they have. So during the pandemic, they gave us money for 100% of our students. So we have a little less than 6,000 students. We got per pupil money for each student that was registered in our school district. Well, they've taken that away now. It's called attendance, what do I want to say, daily attendance average, ADA. So what's happened is now instead of funding us 100%, they're only funding us for the average students that attend. So we have a great accountant who is pretty much spot on and let us know that that's going to be about a 7% loss. So that meant that we had a 93% budget instead of 100, and we've lost our Easter money. So that being said, we then decided to take a look at what we could do to save money. So one of the things that we've been doing to save that 7% is we are now contracting with a company for our custodial. We saved $300,000. As you know, we've done some mitigation to help us. We also have looked at some contracts and have gone back over and gotten them for a little cheaper. I always love people when they say, your school district is just spending money, and I want to say, come and see. You know, we're a mean, lean fighting machine here. So that's kind of what we went ahead and did. And now We no longer have the Easter money. We no longer have that 7%, yet we still need teachers. So this levy will pay for 15 teachers, just maintain them. Just maintain them. We'll also pay for the resource officer we hired during the pandemic. We'll also pay for behavior managers. And we'll pay for curriculum and technology that we need. And those are things that we need to make our school district good. Also, facilities we're looking at, and we're not being proactive, we're just doing what we need. Hubbard, which was built in the 70s, is leaking. And so that needs to be replaced. Also, Reed's roof needs to be replaced. And when I first heard that, I was like, are you kidding me? We just built Reed. But believe it or not, it was 20 years ago. So it's just normal wear and tear. Also, we need to update the air conditioner at Indian Creek and Ross. My son teaches at CUNA High School, and their air conditioner this fall was not being able to air condition the whole place. So my understanding was they would air condition this half, and this half would not be air conditioned. Then the next day, they'd air condition this half, and this half would not be air conditioned. Not a really good learning environment. So these are things that we really need to replace. Also, we need to replace some of our fire alarms for safety. We're looking at getting 3 buses. You guys know that we are growing. And we're looking, let's see, I think that was basically it. It'll tell you on the paper for sure if I missed something. But those are the things specifically that we are asking for. So, that being said, I live in this community too. And I have been teaching here since 1981 and have moved my family out here in 1998. Why? Because I love this community. And I want it to be a place where my kids could go to school. So, what will this do for our taxes? So I want to kind of go over that with you. At the present, the last supplemental levy we asked for was in 2021. We did not ask for one in 2023. The reason being, I think we were very prudent with our money. We used the leftover Easter funds to pay for what we needed. They're gone now. So as I come to you, your current tax bill looks like this. A tort levy is $3.87 per 100,000 per year. The projected tax for next year is again $3.87, no change. The bond levy that you are paying on for the school district at this time is $161.74, again per 100,000 per year. But again, I feel like we've been prudent. We've paid down some of those bonds. We've used money that the state has given us to pay down. And next year, you're only going to be paying $91.38, which is a decrease of $70.36. Okay? The supplemental levy, we did not have one this year because we used the rest of our Easter money. But next year, it looks like it'll be $103.90 per 100,000 per year. Also, House Bill 292, in case you're up on that, they're giving some tax relief to members of our state, and it looks like that will be a decrease of $42 per 100,000 per year, and that will be the same next year. So that leads us to the current. Right now, you're paying $123.61 per 100,000 per year. With this supplemental levy, you will have an increase of about $33.50 per 100,000 per year. Now, I only taught 4th grade, 3rd grade math, but I kind of broke that down, $33.50 to 12 a month. It came out to $2.79 a month per 100,000. So if you have $500,000, if I did my math correctly, you're paying about $15 extra a month, which I think is a really good deal for what we need. So that being said, are there any questions about the levy?
Okay, questions? I will say that the Mayor's Book Club is 4th and 5th graders.
Oh, yeah.
And they're really smart, so you must have done okay.
Did I do okay? Well, I taught your son, and he's pretty smart, too. So do I have any questions at this time?
I
have a question.
Sure.
So with this, obviously it's well needed.
Oh, yeah.
But we also need a bond.
We
And
do.
so I'm concerned, I guess, with how it went last time and the time before. Are we cutting off our nose to spite our face in a way to, are we gonna, so I guess how soon does I guess, are you planning to
Do
run
the
bonds
bond?
again?
Well, you have to remember, I'm one of 5. And also, the legislature has taken away our dates to bond or levy. So we only have May and November. It used to be we had once every 3 months. So if it fails in May, then that leaves us November. So we might be looking at November, but I can't say that for sure because I'm one of 5. But I would like to see us do something. The thing that I think really stuck out to us and to me personally was this is stuff we need now just to maintain. And we all know how hard it is to get bonds and levies passed here. We live in a conservative community, which I love. That's why I live here. But this is something we need just to maintain and to keep things up. The bond, we'll take a look at that. But we felt this needed to be done first. And I know that we couldn't have done a bond and a levy at the same time. That just wouldn't have probably flown at all. So that's why we're doing the levy. But that is a good question, Mr. Biggs, and I appreciate that.
Well, and I guess to expand is if it goes right to November, that's gonna be even tougher or more of a challenge, I guess.
It is.
And the threshold, if I remember, the levy is 50 plus 1, isn't it?
It is, and that's why we're doing the levy. A bond is 7 and 6%. And if I have time, just to give you an idea, there are only 2 states that require that, us and Kentucky. The difference in Kentucky is the state pays for the schools, and then you bond for whatever you want to put in those schools, which I think is a wonderful idea and something maybe we should look at. So the state pays to build the schools, nothing fancy, and then you as a community pay to put in how you want, whatever you want in it. And I think that's kind of a good idea, but they're the only other state that requires that. But you know how hard it is. I think we've worked together quite a bit to know that it's not easy to get these bonds passed. And we're not the only school district that's struggling. So thank you.
And then, I'll also say, as far as the bond goes, you've got a great capital planning committee that's
We
working on
do.
that, really working to strategize what the urgent needs are and what you can do and what.
Yeah, and we'll be putting that together. Again, we've done that in the past. I think it's wonderful that we're transparent and that we let the community know what we need and what they want to have. I think that's an important piece.
And you always have a good mix of people too, whether it's farmers or
Yeah.
realtors or.
Because it affects everybody. I think
Yeah,
you're right.
Everybody has a say in it, and it's
Yeah.
what's there, so.
Yeah, I think you're
I appreciate
100%.
that a lot, and thank you so much for being a part of the CUNA School District for so many years and continuing to do so even after your time as an educator.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, in conclusion, I just want you to know, having lived in this community as long as I have and taught here, I think there's one thing that you guys want and that we want, and we want to make CUNA a good place for people to live, to raise a family, and to educate kids. And with that being said, I really would like your support in this passing. Talk to your neighbors. In fact, invite them, take them in the car, take them on down to vote. And if they have questions, because everybody does. When you talk about taxes, it's a hard thing. I get it. I'm retired now too, so I'm on a fixed income. But I want to do this for the kids. And I know that we've been prudent and we're not asking for anything that is extra. So
that'd mean I'd have to clean out my pickup though if I'm gonna haul people in.
yes. So do I have your support in this then?
Oh, I
100%?
am in full support of that.
Thank you.
School
I
district
appreciate
and
that.
what you're trying to do.
Yeah, thank you.
And mostly because I know you have a lot of good people working on the plan. It's not just the school asking for stuff they don't need.
No, and I really want people to understand that. We're just not asking for money. The state requires to put specifically what we're asking for, and it tells you right there in that little flyer exactly what we are asking for.
Is there a town hall coming up? high school?
At this time, yes, there's a town hall this Thursday. We'll be at the district office, and there won't be one virtually the next Thursday. We've never had really good response when we've done town hall. I wish we did. I don't know how you guys are, but when we invite the community, we don't get the people. We get a lot more online than we do in person. So it's just kind of been our experience. So, but yes, thank you. And I just want people to know that I kind of heard through CUNA Must Know that we really aren't advertising this. Yes, we are. We're doing the best we can to advertise and to get it out to the people. So that's why I'm here tonight. So thank you, and thank you for your support. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Kim, or Ms. Nixon.
All right, and this is a proclamation for Mental Health Awareness Month. Whereas there is a proven connection between good mental health and overall personal health, and whereas mental health issues affect almost every family in America, and whereas people with mental health issues recover if given the necessary services and supports in their communities, and whereas people with mental illness make important contributions to our families and our communities, and whereas millions of adults and children are disabled by mental illnesses every year, and only 1 out of 2 people with a serious form of mental health illness seeks treatment, and whereas stigma and fear of discrimination keep many who would benefit from the mental health services from seeking help, and whereas good mental health is critical to the well-being of our families, communities, schools, and businesses, and greater public awareness about mental health illness can change negative attitudes and behaviors towards people with mental illness. Now therefore, I, Joe Steer, Mayor of the City of Kuna, Idaho, do hereby proclaim May 2024 as Mental Health Month, and call upon all CUNA citizens, public and private institutions, businesses, and schools to recommit our community to increase awareness and understanding of mental illness, reducing stigma and discrimination, and promoting appropriate and accessible services for all people with mental illnesses. And our own Nancy Stauffer has been leading the charge on this one, so if there's any questions or comments or anything. And Justine. I'll just do this one.
We got the t-shirt.
Yeah, how come I don't get a t-shirt?
Thank you, Nancy.
All right, that leads us to the item 7A, Meridian Road Corridor Extension Study. Doug Hansen.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. For the record, Doug Hansen, CUNA Planning and Zoning, 751 West 4th Street, CUNA. Idaho State Statute and CUNA City Code does not provide a process for the formal adoption of this type of study. Therefore, the public hearing that took place before the Planning and Zoning Commission and the public hearing before the City Council this evening is not a requirement. Staff chose to bring this forward via public hearing as the city will utilize the study and the analysis in future land use applications and allow the public additional opportunities to provide comments. Public testimony provided through the public hearings will be added to the appendices of this study. The Commission voted to recommend adoption of the Meridian Road Extension Corridor Study on April 9th, 2024. Should the Council choose to adopt the study this evening, a resolution formalizing this adoption will come before you at the regularly scheduled Council meeting on May 21st, 2024. Included in your packet, you will find the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting minutes from April 9th. the Meridian Road Extension Corridor Study Executive Summary, the Meridian Road Extension Corridor Study, and the Meridian Road Extension Corridor Study Appendices. And with that, I will stand by for any questions you may have.
Okay, questions for Doug? All right, this is a public hearing, and I have two that have signed up to testify. Is anybody else who wishes to testify didn't get a chance to sign in? Thank you, Daniel. You gotta have readers on too? Yes. Good, thank you. All right, Dave, you may have the floor, sir. Yes. No, just the one.
That's why most people use last names, I guess. But what do I
Okay,
know?
Dave Splat, sorry.
It's okay, my name is Dave Splett, I live at 970 Ashwood Court. That's here in Cuna. I put myself on the neutral section because I don't think any of this matters. The Ada County shows most of that corridor for Meridian Road as existing right-of-way. But that doesn't really matter, because ACHD has a policy that says all section line roads, which is Meridian Road, will be future arterials. That doesn't matter either, because the Regional Transportation Plan includes Meridian Road extension in their long-range plan. So although there are three agencies already did it, you guys did it again. But the negative side you're forgetting is that my friends and clients on staff at ACHD tell me that they're kind of upset at CUNA because you came up with rejected three of their plans already. And this one never came up in any of their previous drafts. They're also upset at ACHD staff because you guys, we, keep building subdivision and clogging up the roads. Sort of drive 10 mile at 7:30 in the morning or Meridian Road at 7:30. There's half-mile or longer queues on both of those roads. The same thing I hear from my friends on staff at ITD is that Meridian Road has already got almost a mile-long queues at 7:30 in the morning. And they're not people coming from Mars, they're people coming from CUNA. And extending that road to the south isn't going to make it any better. So anyway, I think it's just frustrating to me that our city spends all this time doing this for no apparent reason. But, you know, it's only my money, what do I care? Okay, that's the end of my brief presentation. Did that make sense to any of you? Nod your head if you. Thank you.
Actually, I have
It's just, I mean, it's interesting that
I have a question.
ITD and ACHD never comment anything like that on any of the
Maybe,
presentations we get.
I don't know if you guys are playing on the computer, but I didn't say HCHD and ITD. I said my friends on staff there. There's a difference.
Okay? All right,
You know, I work for all those agencies. Thank you.
thank you.
Mr. Split, you could have them reach out to us if you like.
I love names. I love names.
Pardon me, why would they do that?
Well,
You're saying that they're upset with us.
I said the staff is upset. This is the third time I said it.
right, we understand the staff, but if that's their problem and they're saying that they can't handle the flow of traffic,
Anybody who drives a car knows the roads can't handle the traffic. You don't have to have staff or anybody tell you that.
but they don't come down here and tell us when we have developments.
Gee, I wonder why that is.
They sign off on every project.
You guys keep approving subdivisions, and all you gotta do is look at the streets. Do you drive them at 7:30 in the morning?
We all do, but the staff report from ACHD says it's acceptable. That's what we base our decision on.
Yeah,
So
but
if
you
it's not
asked-
acceptable, why are they saying it is but telling you something different?
Because when you ask them, they say CUNA signs the plat, and the plat says, we have the public facilities to support this. And so they, ACHD staff tell me, CUNA said it's fine.
Well, we'll agree to disagree then because that's not right.
I know it's not right. Have you driven those roads in South
Every
Dakota?
morning, sir. Every morning I drive those roads. And if the staff had a problem with it, why don't they take that to their uppers to then say to us, that road can't handle that? That would give us grounds to stop a subdivision development instead of approving it.
Because I do work for ACHD.
We've established that. You've said it 3 times now.
Right, but I figure you don't understand it, so
I understand a lot more than you think, Mr. Splits.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Do you want me to answer this question or not? Okay.
Cindy Geeson.
Good evening, Cindy Geeson, Giesen, for the record. Thanks. I had a couple questions. Oh, my address is 1363 South Ash Avenue. I had a couple questions. I'm wondering, can you move that to about page 250? Okay, stop. My first question was, I tried to download that from the link, and on several platforms, several web browsers, phone, that, and I could not get anything from it till I got to about page 350. So I'm just wondering, I've been to enough meetings, so I'm okay, that I kind of know what's going on with it. But I think there's an issue with that document that you posted. So my question to the attorney is, should we always have the package with the agenda, or are you only required to have an agenda? So that's my first question, because I couldn't get the package. So anyway, excellent database system that they have there where they've kept track of all this, of all these hearings and public comments and stuff. That was very nice. There were a lot of comments about Indian Creek and whether when you do this, when you build this thing over it, can we still get our floaties into the creek? Very important. And so I don't know if that is possible, and I wonder if somebody could, since I couldn't see that, if they address that, because it didn't seem that I've ever heard it addressed. And the last 2 gentlemen that came to speak at the public hearing at Planning and Zoning talked about it, and it sounded like their land's on the creek, and we'll have a problem on the other side. We used to get in at Strobel. And that was a big deal, actually, with a lot of people, because we enjoy the creek a lot, okay? And those neighbors that showed up, and I don't know if you read the minutes, but they asked about making a little bit of a change on the curve. And so unless you read the last plan and zoning minutes, you might not be aware of that. And it seemed like a simple thing that would free up his access to a shop. And they were very kind, they seemed like you guys covered all the neighbors, so that was nice. But they just want some minor adjustments that before you approve this, I hope you guys address that. And there was one more. There's some noise issues as well. And let me see if there's anything else. I'm kind of curious about how much did this cost us total? I know JUB got kind of an initial payment, and I never could figure out how much total did it cost for you to do this meridian jack, so I would like to know about that. Other than that, I think, please don't do a roundabout, otherwise it's great. Thanks.
Thank you. Danielle.
Good evening, Mayor, Councilman. My name's Danielle Horace, Director of Partnerships, CUNA School District, 711 East Porter. I am here and representing CUNA School District to speak in support of this. And there are folks who know far more than I do about roads and buses and safety, and they've looked at this. And just to be consistent, we want to be on the record again stating that we are in support, and the reason is that the students will be able to more safely transport to school in large school buses. That's all I wanted to communicate. Thanks all.
Thank you. And I believe this was one of the conditions in order for the ability to use the 100 acres at Thornton's was that improvement at the intersection there. So hopefully it'll help the schools also. Mike.
My name's Mike Losh. I live at 1032 South Threeves Avenue, which this will be right behind my subdivision, and I am 100% supportive of it. I think we've needed this for some time for safety of the school buses as well as all of our EMS. And I deal with sheriffs and fire both, know people on both circumstances, and all of them have said this would be a great asset to access that side of the road, which is growing. We're growing everywhere, so. But I'm 100% in support of it and wanted to make that known. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And that's all I had signed up to testify. Is there anybody else who wishes to? You have to state your name for the record. Hi. All right. Okay, thank you. Doug, did you want to comment any further?
Yeah, for the record, Doug Hansen, CUNA Planning and Zoning. I can say that the overpass would not impact floating. The Indian Creek would still have to flow as it currently does. It would go up and over. And just to address the funding question, through fiscal year 23, City Council approved a budget of $254,012.69. A contingency request was requested to the council on November 21st, 2023 for $108,033.31, which brought up to the total funds allocated for the project at $362,046.
Okay, thank you. Question.
Doug, have you heard, Doug, referring to our earlier guests, have you heard any feedback from ACHD about this displeasure of our not playing fair?
For the record, Doug Hansen, CUNA Planning and Zoning. No, I have not heard any of that. And just for the record to add, ACHD and ITD were both stakeholders and were involved in the entire planning process for this study.
Okay, thank you.
So Doug, if I remember right, trying to remember one of the details, they had made it an agreement that if this were to go through, that ITD would relinquish the part with the curve that goes Avalon, correct? And then 69 would continue on south.
For the record, Doug Hansen, CUNA Planning and Zoning. So those were talks as a part of the overall study, but no jurisdictional determination has been determined at this point in time.
Until it's all probably official. Thank you.
I have one more.
Yes?
And this site was decided over time with community members and both of those agencies as well, right?
For the record, Doug Hansen, CUNA Planning and Zoning, that's correct.
And then, one more, sorry.
You go ahead.
And from here, once this is done, then ITD will pick it up and continue the engineering from there, or?
For the
where's
record,
the
Doug
plan go?
For the record, Doug Hansen, CUNA Planning and Zoning. At this point in time, we will, if approved this evening, we'll have a formally adopted study. What happens from here on out, nothing is concrete, but what I can say is, let me get the specific date here right for you. At the March Regional Transportation Advisory Committee meeting, the Compass, RTAC requested, sorry. Yeah, so the Regional Transportation Advisory Committee voted to prioritize and recommend member agencies' requests for the fiscal year 2025 Unified Planning Work Program and Budget. And the number one requested project was a study for the State Highway 69 extension, Union Pacific Railroad crossings, and connectivity study. So there is forward movement.
Thank you.
And Doug gave a very nice presentation at one of the Compass Board meetings a couple, 3 months ago, and that went really well. And we got a lot of support from all the surrounding cities and agencies, so.
I make a motion that we close the evidence presentation and move to deliberation.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion carries.
Questions, thoughts, concerns?
As a South Sider, this makes me happy.
South Sider.
Just coined a phrase. Good?
I'm good.
Make a motion that we approve the Meridian Road Corridor Extension Study.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. That brings us to item 8A, consideration to approve case number 2401TE, time extension. Doug?
Mayor and Council, for the record, Doug Hansen, CUNA Planning and Zoning, 751 West 4th Street. The applicant is requesting time extension approval for the Madrone Heights subdivision number 3, final plat, due to a downturn in the housing market and wishing to complete Phase 2 prior to beginning Phase 3. The subject site is located at West Cunamora Road, west of South 10 Mile Road, and with that, I will stand for any questions.
Have we already extended this one, Doug?
For the record, Doug Hansen, CUNA Planning and Zoning. This particular phase has not had a request for extension.
The good news is that means they're not building houses fast.
Anybody have anything? What do you think?
So I guess the thought is with the downturn in the market, how long, I don't know what their projection is. Doug, this is good for 1 year?
For the record, Doug Hansen, CUNA Planning and Zoning. Yes, the extension would be good for 1 year from the council's approval.
I drive by Madrone Heights every morning and every afternoon, and it wouldn't surprise me if we see them again in 1 year.
Well,
It's been a very slowly developing project.
and so if we Doug, if we deny this time extension, what does that mean for them? do they have to go back through the process?
For the record, Doug Hanson, CUNA Planning and Zoning. It's difficult as they already have completed 2 phases of the overall preliminary plat. Should this application be denied this evening, they would still have grounds to file a reconsideration request to Planning and Zoning, and that's a director level determination to just revise the preliminary plat. That's just currently how code is written. So if it were denied this evening, they could request reconsideration on the plat, and then we would just have to go through assess, and then if there were any new conditions to be added to the overall preliminary plat, that could be done. However, they are complying with all of the requirements listed in CUNA City Code to request this extension.
Thank you. Anything? I make a motion that we approve case number 24-01-TE.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded for approval. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Consideration to approve case 2402TE, time extension, Doug Hanson.
Mayor and Council, for the record, Doug Hanson, CUNA Planning and Zoning. The applicant is requesting time extension approval for Grand Prado subdivision number 4, final plat, due to delays in construction on the water main located within Lake Hazel Road. The subject site is located near West Fowler Drive and South Memory Avenue. This application in particular is also experiencing delays because they have had to work in tandem with neighboring county subdivision, the Bitter Creek subdivision, which is just on the north side of this phase line. They've had to establish the decommissioning of a pond for wastewater service, and that was also related to this delay, as the city is still working through some of those agreements as well.
And this is the first time also.
For the record, Doug Hanson, CUNA Planning and Zoning, that's correct.
John? I make a motion that we approve case number 24-02-TE.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded for approval. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. Item 8C, budget presentation. Jared Impey.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you, I have the budget results as of March 31st, so we're halfway through the fiscal year on this report. This begins on page 146 of the packet. So before you, we have the cash reconciled as of the end of March. As you can see, we have several operating accounts and also several investment accounts. The main operating account is out of U.S. Bank. We also have an urban renewal account out of First Interstate. Then we have several investment accounts through the state investment pool. So that's denoted by LGIP, in which we have had about 22 million there. We also have about 21 million at ICCU, in which we have certificates of deposit, which mature in October. And then we also have a bond trading account through Time Value Investments, which is based in Seattle, and which specializes in local government trading. So with that, those bonds have varying maturity, but the maximum maturity, I believe, is about 20 months. So relatively short-term investments there. And like I said, we have a few different LGIP accounts, just depending on which entity or which fund those belong to. Then below, you'll see that there are various funds that we have allocated the funds to. As you can see, the general fund is particularly strong. as well as the sewer fund. And honestly, nearly every fund is fairly strong at the current time. Then you can see the next page, we have the, just a basic profit and loss statement for each fund. The general fund is operating positively, and we haven't received our July payment yet, so I assume that the general fund will continue operating positively. The grant fund essentially is a zero net fund, meaning revenue is generally the same as expenses. However, we received a prepayment on our project at Avalon and Orchard last year, and so now we're just spending those funds. The Latecomer Fund currently is positive. However, in August, we'll pay out our reimbursement agreements that are due this year. Then the Water Fund, this one is currently operating with expenses higher than revenue because we have 2 wells under construction. However, otherwise, it would be positive. The Sewer Fund is operating very positively at $2.1 million so far this year, and we're halfway through the fiscal year. The Irrigation Fund is essentially operating at a draw. The reason for that is because we paid for 1 pond this year, and that cost about $900,000. So aside from that, the Irrigation Fund would be operating very positively. The Solid Waste Fund is a fund that is essentially a net zero fund. It's essentially we're managing the accounts receivable for J&M that the city has, and so that fund will always be pretty close to a net zero. The Capital Projects Fund, these are funds that are transferred in from various funds, and this is also a fund that's essentially a net zero. The reason for a small excess of expense over revenue is because we had one small amount of funds that was related to a prior year project that we transferred back to the general fund in the amount of $2,175. Then the Park Impact Fund, that's doing well, especially since we raised the Park Impact Fund last year. And we're building out Zamzo Park and one additional park. Then the Police Impact Fund, that continues to accumulate funds to pay back the general fund for its investment in the police station. And so hopefully we can get that paid back within about 7 to 9 years, just depends on how the economy does. Then the urban renewal districts, funds 52 and 53, those continue to accumulate funds. The one disappointment is the East Urban Renewal District, which was affected by legislation last year that specifically was put in to counteract data center allocation within urban renewal districts, so that one will grow fairly slowly, but we have high hopes for it in the future. Then as you continue, we have the detail, the income detail by account. The one that's probably the most, so I always think that revenue is more concerning than expenses, because revenue drives how much you can spend in the future, how much you can save for the future. The one item that is a little bit concerning is the sales tax money that we receive from the state, in which we're behind schedule from where we were last year and we're behind where we had anticipated. The reason for that is that for 3 quarters we were in a slight consumer recession. There could be various reasons for that, but essentially that's the reason that people have pulled back on their consumer spending, which then decreases how much we get from the state in our state tax allocation. However, on the flip side, our building permits have been better than we anticipated, especially in the commercial realm. For instance, our plumbing and our electrical permits are much better than we expected because of meta-related projects. That said, our contract services are much higher because they're related to those much higher revenues. So I'll take the good with the bad, especially when the good is much better than the bad. Then, one item that we'll continue to keep an eye on is our professional services. Those don't necessarily pop in this report on each one, but I wanted to keep the council aware that will likely exceed those this year because with outsourcing our engineering firm, our engineering department, for a good part of this year, most likely those services and those expenses will grow. So, however, we should save on our salaries while we're looking for replacement engineers. Let's see. And then any other items? I think that's about all. So overall, I think that the financial health of the city is good, and we'll be coming before you next month with our budget workshop for fiscal '25, in which we can delve into these projects and projections more next month. But I wanted to see if you had any questions on the current results that I haven't presented tonight.
Okay, questions for Jared?
No, thank you. I appreciate you putting it all together.
All right, that leads us to consideration to approve ordinance 2024-07. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Kuna making certain findings and enlarging the boundaries of the Kuna municipal irrigation system by the inclusion of Ada County Assessor's DB Development LLC and declaring water rights appurtenant thereto are pooled for delivery purposes and directing the city clerk to record this ordinance as approved by law and directing the city engineer to provide notice of this ordinance to the New York Irrigation District, the owners, and update the irrigation system map and providing an effective date.
I make a motion that we waive 3 readings of ordinance 2024-07.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to waive the 3 readings. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Make a motion that we approve ordinance 2024-07 as published.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded for approval. Is there any further discussion? Nathan, would you poll the council?
Councilmember McPherson?
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs?
Yes.
Councilmember Laraway?
Yes.
Council President Bruce?
Yes.
And that motion carries. That is all we had on the agenda for tonight. The hometown fair. Yeah, Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say thank you to Stacy. I tried to thank Bobby, but he put it on her. He said she did it all. So she did great with the fair. Considering the wind blew a bunch of tents over, she moved people in the middle of the process and had them set up. I mean, she had an energy drink in both hands at one point, so.
She's a rock star.
Yeah, she did
Yeah,
great.
a lot of staff gets all hands on deck there, but Stacy's pretty good at leading the charge.
She was
on
awesome.
those things.
Well, when you hear people, saying good things about her throughout the process, even when their whole thing blew away, that's always good.
Uh-huh. There were no ruby red slippers.
No.
What? Yes. Yeah, he made a motion to close the hearing, move on to deliberations. And then I just want to give a good shout out to all the staff, particularly Doug and Mike Borzik and, well, pretty much everybody that's been helping us get through the transition of Public Works. I think we're coming up with some good policy changes and procedures to make everything run a bit smoother. And just been very, very pleased with staff. Slim has been helping me out tremendously with keeping things straight so that I can concentrate on other things. And it's just been, it's been good for me to be there and learn what I've been learning about it. And a lot of work, but it's been good. So I think we're moving in the right direction. We're gonna have a good result when we get done. So, and then the people out at Public Works, they really know their jobs. They do a really good job of keeping things running. We've had a couple of blow-ups here and there on things, and man, they get Johnny on the spot, get it fixed, and nobody even knows it ever happened. So I appreciate them beyond belief. So anyway, that's all I have for the evening. Anybody else have anything?
No, sir.
Okay. Well then, with that, meeting is adjourned.